To give you a introduction of our resource speaker this afternoon or this evening, okay, our speaker, according to her profile, is a teacher by heart who continues to grow in learning, teaching, reaching out, and touching lives. She has been a science teacher for the primary grades, a teacher trainer in Nepal, an internship supervisor, and a mathematics teacher for a depth ed intermediate grade. She is currently a faculty member in the School of Education, teaching the core subjects such as curriculum development, assessment of learning and research, and a coordinator for the professional education and preparation for the BLEPT, or the Board of Licensure Examination for Professional Teachers for the School of Education of Xavier University. She is a graduate studies research teacher and mentor, very active. I work with her also as a member of the Research Ethics Board, coordinator and trainer for various TIP or Teacher Induction Programs of the Department of Education, and a trainer and resource speaker in various capacities. She is also currently the assistant to the Vice President or Vice President for Higher Education in the area for curriculum and instruction. So to give us an orientation on OBE in the time of virtual learning, please give a warm round of virtual or actual applause to Dr. Kathleen Mallorca Morales.
Yehey! May hapon!
Yehey! Palakpak sa tana!
Palakpak sa
Palakpak! Kinanglan
tanan!
resounding
Yes.
palakpak. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sir Pox. It's always a pleasure to be working alongside pillars. Gatawagon ako sila pillars.
Joy Pillars!
In the in
Ginoo ko.
Xavier University, especially so that this time our task, we are working together, and we are actually an office, di ba, Sir Fox, who will really look after, nurture, take care of the teachers, because the
Yes.
teachers are actually
True.
our
That's right.
asset in the university. Sige, so allow me to share my screen. I know that in the context of our sharing today, this is never something that is new to all of us. One way or another, we already know this. By the way, am I audible enough? Okay lang?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
Doc.
volume-wise, okay lang
Yes.
ta? So,
Yes.
and the
Loud and
things that
clear.
I am sharing with you today, there is nothing original. Di po. The task I did is to organize. There is always this importance in saying that these are not actually our own idea, but then we are also mandated by CHED to embrace OBE, and that's outcomes-based education. So this afternoon, we will be looking at how it is in the virtual learning. And as I said, this is not something new. This is also not something that you will still try to implement. You're already doing this. And I hope this session this afternoon becomes more of an affirmation of what we're doing, and even an encouragement that we can still do more. Okay, so these are our objectives for the session. I hope at the end we will be able to review the concepts and principles of OBE, as well as the principles of good online teaching. I would like to believe that this is already, I think you have heard about this during our OTL training. But there again, we would like to see it really happening in the classroom. Then we will be identifying the activities that you actually already do in order to adhere to the principles. And there are many of this, I would like to believe. And the last is we can try sharing, we'll craft our own reminders for OBE implementation in the classroom. Okay, so this is the flow. I'll start with the concepts. We'll just breeze through it. It's a review. Then we will revisit some of the principles, and then we will share our practices. And then later, you will also be given short time to actually share some of your principal personal guidelines that you have identified from the talk. Okay, so again, OBE is always introduced to us by father, no, not father. Yesterday you had the piece, no, but the father of OBE, who is Dr. William Spady. Now, Dr. Spady actually wrote a book entitled Critical Outcomes-Based Education, Critical Issues and Answers. And this is the source of all the review that I am intending to share with all of us this evening. So now let us look at this. These are some examples of outcomes-based models. You have karate instructions, scuba, flight schools, ski. I think maybe some of us are even enrolled in this one, di ba? You have one-room schoolhouses. What could be some current practices we have? We have siguro baking. Unsa pa yung mga other short-term courses that we have. How to short-term. I'm sure there are Yes, my question is, my dear participants, new teachers, exam ta diretso, kira mo? What do you think is common among these programs? Kanino, mga professional licensure, driving school, di ba sir? Ngayon, driving school is actually taking, or many are considering taking courses in driving. What do you think is the one thing that's common about all this? Let us ask somebody. Sorry, kay manawag yun si Ma'am Pat. Can we hear from Ma'am Blessy? Miss Blessy, we want to hear from you.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I'll just not turn on my video because my
Okay.
Wi-Fi is very mahinay. What's common among these is there is a need for the students to really, or like the people who is doing this to like kanang nabitag kanang ma-learn gid nila na or bali outcome yun ba na ilag yung i-perform for them to really know unsa gid ang like kung driving dapat mag-actual driving with siya to really know how to really drive.
Yes.
Something like that.
Thank you, Ma'am Blessy. And you know what? You said this word already, di ba? Oh, they're very true. One thing common about all these short-term courses here is actually that of an outcome. All the learners are required, expected to display something that becomes an evidence or pieces of evidences for their learnings. Okay. So, Spady said that most people thought over the years that outcomes were curriculum content. But then, according to him, they are not, outcomes are not only content, no? They are the performance. So, yes, very good, kaayo, Miss Blessing, when you said na they really have to perform something. Okay, so let me move on. Now, as we review OBE principles this time, I would like to invite you to identify what are those practices that you already started doing or something that you already see from among your colleagues, okay? Sige, so that's my invitation. We'll try to look into that. I'll be talking about these important things basic to the OBE. Now, OBE discussion will never be complete until we have indicated what they call as the OBE pyramid. Okay. So the OBE pyramid is actually presenting to us 5 different P's. The first P is paradigm. Second P is purposes. The third is premise. Fourth is principle. And then the fifth one is practice. Ayan. There is one paradigm. Grabe ka, no? There is one paradigm. Okay? And this paradigm is trying to indicate that what and whatever students learn well is more important than when and how they will learn. So that's very, sa OBE, that is very basic. That's the paradigm shift, no? And then it indicates then that there has to be a defined framework and outcome. And time is not a constant, no? It's a variation. Then it is criterion based. Oh, so it's not norm reference, but it's criterion, meaning if the student can address all these things, then he's considered to have already achieved the outcomes. Yan. And increasing students' learning ultimately very much of performance abilities. Okay. So there is one paradigm and there are two purposes. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, pa ganyan. Ganyan ang ano. Just a minute ha, just excuse me for a while.
Ka, na-mute ka.
Nag-excuse ka jud kay na instruction niya.
Okay, so sorry, I have to give instruction somehow. So there is one paradigm and there are two purposes. Okay, so in OBE, these are the purposes. Take note of this. One is all the students with the knowledge, competencies, or orientation needed for future success. So that's the purpose. We train our students for them to succeed in the future. You know? And then another one is really that all students are to be successful. So that's also one of the purposes of OBE. So one paradigm, two purposes. Ano yung mga purposes? It will be future success and that all students will be successful. Take note, lahat ng mga students are expected to be successful. There are three premises. Okay. So there are three things that are, if this is in stat, merong mga assumptions, di ba? So in OBE, there are also three assumptions. There are premises. It says here that all students can learn and succeed, but not at the same day and at the same way. Okay, so we believe that our students can learn, but they might not learn at the same time and in the same manner. That's one of the premise. The second premise is when we give our students success, the success they experience will result to another success. So success will breed success. That is the second premise. The third is very important because as a school, we are the one that will control the conditions of success. So very challenging yung tatlong premise, di ba? It's more of all students are capable of succeeding in life, but they just do not achieve this at the same time and in the same way. When we offer them opportunities to succeed, then it will more likely result to more successes. And XU, our school, is one that will control the conditions of this things. So, one paradigm, two purposes, and three premises. Then we have four principles. Okay. What are these principles? Okay. Allow me to drink lang muna ha. Okay. First principle is as we adopt OBE in our context, there has to be clarity of focus. Now, the clarity of focus of our culminating exit outcomes, all those things that we want our students to achieve at the end should be very clear. That's the first principle. And clarity of learning focus is also performance demonstration. And then at the same time, this will also be seen in the way we design our curriculum, instruction, as well as assessment. So we are supposed to be very clear. At the very start, our students need to know what are expected of them. And they also need to understand that the expectation is very much a demonstration of the skill that they have learned. And then, of course, assessment will be about those things as well. So the second principle has something to do with expanded opportunities. Diba? When we say expanded opportunity, these are the things that are involved there. One, the time, the teaching, and the learning eligibility is for the students. We need to give them more, what you call this one, more support, more avenue for them to learn, methods and modalities may come in varying ways. And the principles of doing things are to be based on operational in a way. So how it works in the context of where we are. La sorry kay gusto kayong ulan so galumba ning so paning kamot and paning tiil. Anyway, I hope I'm clear from your end. So the third principle has something to do with high expectations. We need to communicate to our students high expectation for all of them. Just a minute ha, excuse lang for a while, just a minute lang.
We would like to, since Doc Cat is still adjusting her audio. Okay, she's back.
Sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yes, yes. Doc Cat.
I'm in Lumbia, so the rain is kind of pouring hard. And then the air and electric fan is grabe na kayo. So I have to turn it off. But I'm you hear that? Meron mga background din ni Sir Tarongoy. Murag, nag-apilap na sa sila og explain. Okay
Okay.
ra. So
Okay
anyway,
we don't hear any background noise. That's
yes.
fine.
So there are, the first principle was clarity of focus. The second is expanded opportunity. Now, take note, it's very important for us to really parang provide all the means where our students can learn. And then also the issue on accommodation is very, very OBE. Like give them all the different ways, allow them to express it in their own language. So that's very, very important as well. And then the next one has something to do with high expectation. No? And the high expectation is for all students. What we call this one? Communicate to them that we want them to really display the best that they can in all the requirements that we give them. So for all of them, they will be encouraged to really perform. And of course, the last one among the principles is designing down. Designing down is you will when we design our lesson, we are going to design down from the ultimate culminating outcome. So we start with thinking about, of course, the what requirement we would be asking them at the very end of the course. So if, for example, if we ask them to come up with a project, so we discuss it with them, we describe it. That's what they are going to submit. For example, they will come up with their own program in computer. So that will be the culminating outcome at the end. And all this culminating outcome will have to be chunk, uh, made into simpler tasks, di ba? That will enable the student to achieve the culminating outcome. So that all the requirements we have in the course contributes to the major requirement at the end. So that's how we want, we design down, no? We start with the end, actually, what is the end of the course requirement, then make several chunks into smaller pieces of what they call as still outcomes ng Japan, no? But then these are tasks that should be contributory to the culminating outcome. And of course, we do not also discount the importance of discrete variables or discrete outcomes. Outcomes na yan lahat. Culminating outcomes, enabling outcomes, and discrete outcomes. The discrete outcomes has something to do with all the contents, like for example, the constructs that needs to be in place. For example, di ba, for chemistry, meron talagang mga non-negotiable principles. And that has to be mastered by students, that it cannot just be displayed by performance. They also need to tell us how much they know in terms of the concepts. So another example would also be if your course guides students to come up with a paper, research paper. So that's the culminating, the enabling outcomes. Every module that you have in the course could possibly be all the different parts of the paper that you are going to ask them to submit, that builds and contributes to the culminating outcome. And of course, the discrete outcomes will be that they also know all the concepts that has to come with writing the research paper. Okay, 1 paradigm, 2 purposes, 3 premises, 4 principles, and there are 5 practices. Yan. Okay, first practice, according to Spady, is to define the outcomes. Actually, if you have seen our course outline or course syllabus at that, did you notice that all the preliminary pages contains the vision, mission, and the goals of the university? And then we have all the outcomes. You have the program outcomes. Then you have the learning outcomes, course outcomes, CLOs, diba? We will get to see a sample of those things later. Okay. So define the outcome. Number 2, design the curriculum. Okay. So when you have undergone the OTL, you were given the opportunity to do this one too. You design the curriculum, plan the module, your own modules. Then you deliver the curriculum. That's where you plan on activities. And then you also document results. And guess what? This is where students are supposed to be prepared, because their performance becomes the measure of their learning. And of course, the last one would be to determine advancement. Okay. So all the D's in the world are here in the practices. So again, that's the OBE pyramid, no? This is one pyramid that Spady has actually presented, and many actually gave some positive remarks, at the same time question its validity in terms of practice. When Shed mandated that we should be putting all this in place in the context of higher ed, the best place where we would like to see all this will be our course syllabus. That's the evidence that we can actually show them now on how our practice of OBE is done in Xavier Ateneo. Yan. Sige. So, which of these items in the pyramid are we as teachers most involved? Where do you think are we very much involved? Do we have specialization ba? Or in all areas? Pero what do you think? Where do you think are we very much involved? Can we hear somebody from chemistry? Ma'am Kathleen, I want to hear from you. Kapareho tayo ng name. So you will really, Ma'am Kat? Can you hear me, Ma'am Kat? Am I audible? Okay lang. Nauman na ang lightning and thunders done.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, maybe si Ma'am Kath, maybe later we'll call her. Can we have somebody from theology? Can we have JM Lofranco? Actually, theology is one institutional courses we offer, right? Yes. And that makes Xavier Ateneo unique in a way, being a Jesuit school. Is JM in the line? Can you hear me, Sir JM? Or Lufranco? Wala sila. Tadjit, mangita, tag ka nang na. Kitsa na din hi, Ma'am Zenny. Zen? Who do we call?
Si Angela sa Chem Department.
Yes, Angela. Sir, thank you, Sir Fox. Mauga itong button, Sir Fox. And?
Go ahead, Ange. Angela Lucy. Go.
Which of these items in the pyramid are we as teachers mostly involved? Kanang, kita mo raga pangugat yun, as in. Hindi pwede. Wala sila kadungog sa ato, Sir Fox.
Pabubol-bubol na sila, ma'am.
Pagtawagan na
Sige na mo. Do not be ashamed. Do not be shy.
Don't be
There is
shy.
this is not graded.
I would like to sorry, Ma'am Paula. Ma'am Paula from SOE. Miss Pau, is it okay to ask you to answer this? No? Which of the items in the pyramid, Miss Pau, are we as teachers mostly involved? You being a teacher for quite a long time na po.
Hi, Ma'am Kath. Can you hear me?
Yes po.
I think for me, I'm still also on the premises. Yeah, because when usually I really have to establish the premises and the purposes why I am doing this. If ever I have an outcomes based, I dwell on the premises, on the pyramid. Of course, there's also the purpose, but I'm still in the process of the premises.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ma'am Pau. I saw Ma'am JM, Sir JM, or raising her hand.
Hello,
JM,
ma'am.
look,
Good afternoon.
sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for raising
Good
your hand.
afternoon. Sorry,
Yes, po.
medyo dahil lagi ng natas smoking putol-putol at ang wifi.
Parihata, sir. Sige, sir. Thank you.
Siguro, ma'am, no, based akong experience, which of these items in the pyramid, no, ang ako ang murag mostly involved lugar ko, no. I think, ma'am, it's on the outcomes, no, defining outcomes and designing curriculum.
Yeah.
Kaysa kung experience manggod ka na ang kumbaga from the pyramid, without these two, you cannot really have that, di ba, nung kanang good delivery, kanang results and advancement. So, on my part, especially kay theology ra ba ning ako, most of the students are kanabitong kanabitong thinking theology pa lang, no, murag kapoy na para sa ilaha. So di ako sa kuano kanabitong really identifying what is kanabitong very important ba kanang unsa gyud ako ang gusto. For example, no, when we talk about God's revelation, no, so it's on for me. Ang akong outcome din na is to help students realize how God really loved them personally.
Yeah.
Muraya na man ba?
Yes,
So I think
yes.
maura man siguro nakakuha.
Thank you very much, Sir JM. Thank you, Sad, Ma'am Paula's focus in the answer was really more on the concern for the students, no, the premise on the students. And so with Sir JM. Sige. So later, all of you anyway will have a chance to still talk or share. So we'll just go through this now. And then these are, of course, I already made mention of this. OBE consider these power principles. Okay. So actually, when we will be looking back and because of the pandemic, Murag, we were placed in a situation where we have to recalibrate how we are going to manage things. But very soon we have to go back and look again in the evidences that we have, and that will be our course syllabi. Now, in the course syllabi, all this has to be really clearly seen whenever we say that it is the evidence that we practice our OBE. So dapat makita yung mga clarity of learning focus, which are actually already there, no? And then, of course, the expanded opportunities, what are the support that we give to our students, and all the different other different what term as modalities that we allow them, and of course the high expectations and the designing down. Designing down will have to be seen in the activity part, where all the different module, the activities, and not only activities but also the requirements, if they are all contributory to the learning outcome, yung culminating outcomes natin. So those are the things, no? Clarity of focus, mga ganyan, all these other things. So when we talk about Spady, and he's already talking about culminating outcomes, where is it in the picture? Is it at the end of the lesson? Is it at the end of the unit, end of the course? Or we, as we prepare our students, we also need to think about their future. No? When they will already be working. So that's according to Spady. When we try to craft all these things, this has to be also in our subconscious na aga po dyan, mga spirito dira nga gahong-hong ba, like, will your course be helpful? Will that requirement help them become better teachers, better chemists, better engineers, mga ganyan, no? Always referring to the future. So this is actually more of how things that we need to reflect on our practice. How are the outcomes stated in the course that we are teaching? What about the program? What about that of the program? And what about that of XU? I'm sure all of us were given copies of the course learning outcomes, right? In here, you actually inherited it from in the department. In the department, you were given a copy of the course syllabi, but then you will notice now that all these outcomes are already in place, and the only freedom we have as teachers will be in the intended learning outcomes per course or per module that we actually are teaching. No? So you will actually, you have seen this, I'm sure, in the course syllabus that you have prepared. Kabantay taani? Okay. So I would like us to reflect on our practice. Let's use the lens of Spady when looking at our course syllabi. The course learning outcomes, we consider culminating outcomes here. You are guided to craft in the context of relating this to the program outcomes. This is how our course syllabi actually look the template, may mga guide. Indicate the knowledge, skills, and attitude that will be demonstrated. And take note, ha, this is not paramihan. You can have one or two learning outcomes, course learning outcomes, which are actually descriptions of culminating outcomes that we want our students to achieve. And then take note also here, these course learning outcomes are mapped. Mga ni example sa mapping, no? There are different ways on how we map things. In XU, we map it this way. In the course learning outcomes, what program outcomes are actually addressed, that's how we also map it. Okay? So, then meron pa tayong mga other things that we need to add. Now, so far, are the things I'm saying here making sense? Making sense ba ni sa inyo? If it's okay for you to give me a thumbs up, please do. Okay lang, Sir JM? I hope these things are making sense, no? Like situating ourselves where is OBE in our context and also later. This is an example of an interdisciplinary course that we, School of Education, teach in the university. And you can notice that there is only one culminating outcome. Isa lang. Apply one's deep understanding of the framework, pero grabe siya. We can see here implementing a peace project. But this peace project actually comes in sets of mini tasks that contributes to one big peace project where they will be presenting in a summit. So parang that's how we want to see it, no? In our context, we start with the culminating outcomes and then we break it down to smaller enabling outcomes yung awag niyan. And that's where the OBE spirit is seen in our course syllabi. Yan. So this is another example, yeah? In the class naman ito. And I think you have done this. You have a requirement in our OTL. Diba? I'm sure that you will ask to prepare something like this one before you actually started the course. So yan. So marami tayo, no, in an XU. Yan. This is how the program outcome look like. We map it with the profile of the graduate, which is very much the BNG of XU. So may mga numbers yan. The numbers represent to what PEO that is, program educational outcomes. And then we have here also the program outcomes. This is for EDUC, no, the teacher education program mandated by CHED. Then we also look into university defined program outcomes. So in so doing, we actually address what Spady is saying, that even as we craft our lessons in the classroom, we are already thinking of the culminating outcome. And it could be very soon, right after the class. It could also be right after the course. And it could also be after they have actually taught or actually graduated from the university. This is how supposed to be how our course outcome should be worded. And there are five different four different parts that has to be there. At the end of the course, observable there, no, the students will have this one should have an observable action with qualifier. They should be able to design. What are they to design? Something that is reliably design, and appropriate what to design, the artifact, the document, a website. 4, take note of the authentic context for action performance is leading them to actual world. No? So that culminates, or that is what an example of how our culminating outcomes should be worded. So as we continue teaching, we are also addressing this when we give assessment for us or of everything. And all this will be aligned with the culminating outcome. Don't worry how we're just breezing through these things, and this becomes more real when we actually would be doing it. And you are already doing many of this in a way. So, expanded opportunities. So, yun. Like, for example, how will we demonstrated this in our virtual class? What accommodation? Sige, let's try. I would like you to answer in the chat box, please. Give me some examples of how did you accommodate your students in a virtual class. I'm looking at some examples here. Somebody, please write your answer in the chat box. What are some of your accommodation that you have done to provide your students opportunities for your students' success? One example could be, they are they can keep in touch with you. Are you allowing that? Like for example, so that they have access to requirements. They can also have a group chat. Do you allow your students to have a group chat or to create a group chat? Consultation time. Sir JM here is saying consultation time. Kinsa pa, naman jud sila tanan. I would like to hear from others. Ma'am Kat, Ma'am Blessy, na pa si Sir Pat kay nag-drive pa gyud siya. So, kita na to siya. O group chat, yes, or email. Yan. Those are some accommodation, di ba? We want to have one more answer, please, coming. One more answer. Can we have some answer from chemistry, from Richie Ann, from Comstad? Ang Comstad, kay unique biya kayo ng Comstad. What about kay Sir Alvin? Walay answer din ha. How do you accommodate? What accommodations do you do for your students? One more answer, then we move to the next. Ingana, good, Ana. E-learn chat. Yes, Mom. Ma'am Glenn, you reminded us. Yeah, we can maximize the e-learn chat. Yes, thank you very much for those who have answered. Okay, so of course, high expectations. So these are just some questions now, and then designing down. I already showed this one to you earlier that we design, or like for example, this one in this context. You have here, this is on a research, educational research theory and practice. So what are supposed to be done? So may mga course requirements tayo. But then when it comes to our class, meron tayong mga individual requirements dito. And all these requirements should be contributory to the achievement of the culminating task. Yan. So that's in OBE. But because this, we are intending to look at this in the context of the virtual learning, let's just quickly review some of the principles of good practice for online environment. Okay, so let's start. The first is the principle of student-teacher contact. There has to be an interaction between you and the student. Okay, so there are some, another one would be, there should be cooperation among our students. No, we should give them time to effectively communicate among themselves, and also cooperation. No, they'll be given tasks where they can work as a group. Ayun. So what else? Active learning. We need to also engage students to meaningful activities, and this is something that should not be absent in the process of our classes in XU, and that is to do the reflection. Okay, so I'm sure all of you actually are doing this already, no? So active learning. What is the next thing? I have a confession to make. Ayan. Because many times in the past, Ma'am Kat included, I'm guilty of this. Because there's so many requirements we give to our students last time. We cannot give prompt feedback anymore. I do not know if you can relate to this one, but yeah, I'm guilty as charged. But I have tried not already attending to this. In OBE, we are reminded to give only, maybe the requirements is not too much, so that we can also give feedback immediate feedback, di ba? Oh, so gone are the days when teachers will have to really stay too long in the classroom to check. If we can only program our requirements so that they will be minimal, yet kanang minimal pero kanang bitong bugat and deep. So that would be best so that we can also give them prompt feedbacking. Okay. And then now take note, I would like to go back to this. So focus on giving guidance. Why do we have to give feedback? Because our students would like to hear from us so that we can best guide them, no? And give feedback so that they can improve the task that they were asked to do. So yun lang talaga. Then time on task, this one. Concentrating on giving students assistance and guidance for managing their time on task online. This is already the third year. Third year na tayo ng online class, di ba? And they are also adjusting na naman, Sir Fox, to the face-to-face. Murag na mag-una sa ta. Grabe nga adjustment, ani. But the thing is, in the online teaching and learning, and even this time when we already have this blended learning, there is also a need for us to really think about how much time will each student need to complete the task. So siguro we will revisit our our virtual classroom one of these days para na those things that do not contribute to culminating tasks, we will not ask them to do it na lang, or it will be more of an enrichment, no? But not necessarily one that we require them of doing. And this one, communicate high expectations. Now, I do not know if you agree with this one. When instructors communicate to their students about high expectation for the course, students will aim to meet these expectations. Do you agree? Sinong nag-a-agree? Can you give me a thumbs up if you agree? I'm waiting. Walay nag-agree. Ako ra yun isa. Bantay lang mo ha. Magkita ra ba ta pa utro? Di tatin to. Okay? Do you agree with this one? Our students perform. The level of performance of our students is very much determined by the expectation. Yan. Yes, Sir Alvin is saying yes. Ma'am Namowag, Glenn is saying, Ma'am Glenna from psychology is saying yes to this. Ang uban, wala lagi. Sila raduha ako. Sila raduha nag-agree sa ako. Daghan di kay mo, oh. Anyway, yes, no? Our students during the first day will read us. Para tayong book, no? That they are all very quiet. They are all trying to find out cool ba ni na teacher, stricto ba ni na teacher, di ba? And then, when we give requirements, they will also think about us as, okay, Ryan, si teacher, listed kay assignment and all. But at the end of the day, we will always find them catching up, meeting all those expectations that we actually set. And that's one thing that we need to also put in place, no? Because we are encouraged to help students to develop the maximum level, no, to the max their capabilities and potentials. Yan. This one, last of the principle is to respect diverse ways of learning, developing and implementing wide variety of instructional strategies. Now take note, let's remember this. Our students are not all good in multiple choice. Not all of them are good in essay, di ba? Not all of them are good in sa panang uban nila nga mga performance. So there has to be different and varied ways where they can and they will be allowed to display what they have learned. Okay. So did you listen well? Let's listen to each one. What are those things that you I'm done with input. Now you will do there's already this part of the day of reckoning. Dita, we'll have an exam. Are you ready for an exam? My dear teachers, okay lang ta? Let's have a quiz. And I already asked Doc Kathy, Gaite, I said to her, Ma'am Kat, naatay 5 people that we would be giving gifts to because if
Malaka.
they answer correctly, they will be given a gift. 5 kabuk sila, Sir Fox. Okay lang.
Wala ka
They
na pang
will
motivate
claim.
yun na siya, ma'am.
They will claim their prize from the sige. So this is what will happen. I will be giving the situation, and then they will address the principal. However, there's a twist because they have to write their answers in the chat box po, and we will identify who among ikapila nag-answer ang makakuha sa prize. So, okay ba, Sir Fox? We will try to do it.
Oh, sige.
Okay,
Sir
so
Milbert,
first,
help me in checking.
yeah, we will be counting man kung sino. Yan, here.
Ma'am, and Sir Fox, basin the others have have a fair chance for the others. There are a lot of fluctuations in the power around the city right now. Earlier we had almost 20 to 25 participants, and we currently have 15 students online, including us 4. Can we defer the quiz and save the recording for everyone's viewing pleasure after, and then probably we can have a follow-up quiz on this one, so that we can have everyone can have a fair chance on winning the prizes also, so that we can also try to review the contents if we can.
Yes,
If it's okay,
lang po.
if it's okay, we've heard also how harsh and how strong the lightning and thunder in your area also, Ma'am Kat. Even here in
Yeah.
Patag, we're also hearing it also very.
Seryoso, sige kay ka Milbert.
Yes. Okay lang. This is what we can actually probably do, sir. We can, because we still have another session, no? These are 5 situations lang. We'll try to answer. Wala lang muna sigurong winners. Okay lang? Sir?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sige. Wala na lang winner
Wala
kay
lang
tungkol sa
maano.
lightning. Okay. We will choose actually the numbers from the principles given there. Like in this situation, Lorna gave out lesson guide with focus on course requirements, grading, percentages, date on, and a date of submission and rubric. Now, if a teacher is this activity done by Lorna adhering to which principle? So you can choose 1, 2, 3, 4. You can write answer in the chat box. Wala na lang tayo sigurong siguro, sir ba? Walang winner? Okay lang? Sige. I would like to
For those who are here, you can type what the number of the principle of good practice that refers to the description given.
Yes, 6. I answer number 6.
Number 6.
Answer nila mo number 6.
Is it the correct answer, Doc Kat?
Ding! We'll see. Yes!
Yes.
Wala.
Okay.
Sayang, wala tayo prize. The 10th participant trabaong tao. Kapila ang wala sa type 10. 1, 2,
Si
3,
Sir Bello
4.
unta ang una diri
Logi.
Ang nag-answer.
Sa ang nag-answer.
Doc Fox, nakabutang kay 10 participant niya. We have 15. We have
kailan
we ika-10. Ay, mingon na lang ika-10 yun yung answer karon na.
Yes.
Answer.
Let's move on to the second question. Rolly monitors students' log-in details and track the engagement with content. Per activity, there is an assigned number of minutes to complete. Which of those kaya? Number lang.
Ready. Start. Go.
Go! Wala na yung mga number 5. Mga break kiss sila, sir,
Yeah.
Parehagi sila mga answer tanan. Starting
Number 5,
with Sir Bello.
Good. Number 1. Gauna-una si Sir Bello.
Si Sir Bello for me mag-answer. Tanaw na to, sir. Okay na siguro, sir, para lingaw-lingaw lang. If there is, if it fits, then wear it. Let's have the answer. Sige. The answer is number 5, 7. Ika-7th daw. Lulog na sa'yo na. Wala, nag-abot og 7.
Nag-fluctuate ng kurente.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ra.
Walay winner, yapon, walay winner.
Lagi. Sige lang, sige lang. Don't worry. Sige, let's continue. Just a quick, this is actually towards the end na din po. Okay. Students are required to post their ideas in forums and are to give comments to at least 3 classmates. Sige. Sige, si Sir Bello, yun una naka-answer. Murag, pasus kay ang iyang internet. Internet ang pasolin.
Lagi?
Boss, Sir Fox, nabantayan ni mo? Lagi na
Yeah,
award si
oo.
Sir Bello.
Good, good.
Ang,
A lot
sige,
of them
sige.
are answering number 3, Doc.
Daghan na?
Kat.
Daghan na, no?
1, 2,
Active
1,
learning.
2, 3, 4. 4 pang nag-answer.
Be, ang answer be? Yes, the second. The ninth.
Actually,
mas-
yes.
sorry,
It's
ninth
cooperation.
participant.
Cooperation among students.
Students. Yes.
Ala, ang inyong answer kay
Correct. 3.
3. Wala yung nakakorek.
Plus 1.
Okay. Ana na time sa lecture, sir, nagkilat, nawala ang
Nag-fluctuate.
answer.
Nag-fluctuate ni Doc Kat. Kaya nagtuon ta lang yan sila
Nag-fluctuate,
pindot ang
oo.
3. Nag-fluctuate na.
Ibo kay
Dahil
ta.
mong 3.
Yeah, number 4. Si Ma'am Zara. Actually, si Ma'am Zara, yun akong gihimo ani nga ano. Ma'am
Na
Zara
wrong.
indicates
Yes.
the best time for consultation, her contact
this is
details,
very
and what to
obvious.
do in case. Na wrong. Cute kay answer ni Sir Bell. Na wrong. Sir Alvin said number 1. Glenna 1. Sir Krisha,
One.
Ma'am Krisha 1. Blessy 1. Nadagan na kay sila nag-answer. Si Sir Bello also 1.
Yes.
Sige, answer pa mo kay Basin ug makaabot mo sa kinsay na ay
Appeal.
prize.
Appeal me, appeal.
Appeal. Second to the last question na ni siya. Sige.
Oh, 7 na. Apis si Sir
7 na.
Milbert.
Basin, nakapag yun. Si Sir Milbert
Good
nag-appeal.
answers.
Oh,
Ang winner din kay 8 na pod ni Ron.
si Ma'am
Ah,
Dennis. Answer. Oh, love it. Okay.
Correct answer is
Yes. So I think it's fine now. Let's see. Wow, the second. Kinsay second participant to answer.
Si Ma'am Glenna, mamawag. Correct.
Ma'am Glenna, Ma'am Glenna.
A second siya na correct nag-answer.
Claim your house and lot, sir. From the CTTL office.
Your
Yes.
miniature house and lot.
Miniature house and lot. Then, the last question. This one. Alma sets deadlines for submission and cut-off dates and time, where she schedules checking and grading outputs and also sending replies.
Si Sir Bello,
Grabe.
number 5 na yun, no?
House and lot. Yay! Sige, si Sir Bello, unaw. Si Sir, dayon? Si Sir
Ang
Alvin.
gini Sir Bello, 5 or 4?
Dagan ka ayang answer.
Or
Kanan numbers, i-appeal mo diha.
or nakorat ra ni
All of the
Yes.
above. Wala yung answer nga all of the above.
Wala. Dili pwede. 4 kay
Ikaw,
na
kay
ay
na
reply.
reply.
Kay na ay reply.
Sending reply.
4. Si Ma'am Audrey.
So yeah,
Okay,
4 answers,
Flores.
4.
Sige, be. Let's try. I
Good
hope
luck.
na
Majority answer is 4.
4. Yay! And the second to the last.
Yes.
The last.
Second to the last, si Audrey. Aubrey.
Yay! So si
Si
Ma'am
Aubrey ang second to the
Audrey.
last.
Yeah. So we have prize for Ma'am Glenna and Ma'am Audrey. Please
Aubrey.
claim your prize from the CTTL office. Yes, ma'am. Diba, Sir Fox?
Alam
Okay.
ninyo kay Zen.
Very
mag-receive.
good. Okay. Sige. Yahay. So we have here these OBE principles that we actually did, no? We look into, and I only indicated this kaninga principles because this is where we are actively involved as teachers. We need to really look into making sure our focus is clear We give standard opportunity to our students. We express to them our expectation in the form of our assessment as well as evaluation. And of course, when we design our course, we start with culminating outcomes, and then we chunk it, no, the chunking that we do with the intended learning outcomes. And we also this good practice, no, student-centered student-teacher contact, cooperation among students, active learning, kanitanan. Now, one challenge is in our practice, we can share, no, we can share in the chat box by the teachers. What could be some combinations of the principles? What I'm trying to say is, many times you do only one activity, but actually you're already addressing several. There could be one principle you already address in one activity, and then you are already also addressing a principle of good practice in the online or virtual class. So can we give some examples? So we can have like A3. So my example of an A3 activity is I give them an activity where everyone has to really participate, because at the end they will make their own personal learning from the experience. So A3 is one good combination. Can we hear from others? Unsa pa yung mga combination? Or I think, yeah, here, oh, this is it. And then there are examples. A6. Do you agree? A6. Do you think the example I gave here makes sense? Somebody from the group, can somebody give comment? A is clarity of focus, and then 6 is communicating high expectation. How do you think can this be made possible? Somebody from the group, Sir Pox and Sir Melbert, pangita ay ko og mag-answer. Oral recitation. Just that one. Or what could be some activity that you will use to as evidence? Nay, volunteer. Can we have volunteers?
Nawala man si Aubrey Kalit.
Nawala.
Aubrey, kadaog ka lang, nawala ka na.
Ayay, ang mga Wi-Fi connection, you guys are all nag-text ang some of the participants. Yes. Pero anyway, let's just have a discussion of this one, sir. Kanina lang we discussed. A6, clarity of focus, then 6 is communicating high expectation. If you were the teacher in any of your courses, what could be one activity that we can probably think of? I'm sure na ay uba nato na classmate or teachers there who can share as well. One example of an activity daw. Or shall we say, let's have another. The answer is this one, the course requirements. Does it address? Yeah?
Yeah.
Our course requirements, does it address clarity of focus and communicating high expectation? Sir, no? Let's ask Sir Bello. Sir Bello, pwede maminaw sa imo?
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
sir.
Hello, Doc Kat.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, Doc, I agree with your activity when it comes to combining the clarity of focus and the communication of high expectation. Usually, during the first meeting, kay, di ba, mag-course orientation naman ta.
Yes.
And in the first orientation, we discussed the background of the background of our subject or our course to be taught, and then may course requirement din dyan na nakalist, 'di ba? Nakalist sa syllabus natin. And then yeah, and then ito yung magiging requirement ng mga bata, and then mag-i-instruct tayo na dapat yung ano nila, yung activity nila is dapat talaga pang high na, especially that we're in the tertiary level, and then we're expecting high also when it comes to their outputs.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, that's very true, no? Sir, what course are you teaching sa PE?
Physical PE 11, physical activity towards health and fitness 1,
Ayan.
and in movement competency training.
Yes, so that's very clear, no? Like when you start your class, you immediately tell them what is the focus of our course, and then you also indicate the expectation. Yeah, sir. Thank you, Kayo, sir, for sharing that to us. Sige. So, I think there are still more here. Last na lang talaga ito. B7. Sa B7 is expanded opportunity, and then respect diverse source of learning. Sige. The answer I have here is, do you have this also, like options that we give for the courses? What options do we do for B7? Expanded opportunity, and then for diverse source of learning. Respect diverse sources of learning. Can we hear somebody from, meron ba tayong math representative dyan? From CAS, kay sa PE man yung kanina. Then another one was, meron na pala yung si Sir JM. Sa engineering, meron tayong engineering representative, Sir Fox. Meron po ba tayo? Tingnan natin yung mga name.
Muragola.
Wala,
Si
no?
Sir Patricio. I don't think
Si
this
Sir
is
Pat. Oh, pero nag-drive ra ba to siya, sir?
Patricio.
Drive siya.
Lagi.
Sige, sino kaya?
How about si Doc Krisha?
Doc Krisha! Doc, nakitaan ka, Doc. Sige. Yeah. Doc?
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On the way
Good
home pa
evening,
magod
Doc.
ko, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm confused for the options for courses. Like in our case, sa medicine, so different levels man sila. So I don't know if ang example would be like in our small group discussions, and then we
Yes.
have this correlate for a certain topic. So I don't know if that belongs to B7. I'm not really sure, ma'am.
Okay. That's actually respect diverse source of learning. So in your context, it's the group activities po, di ba?
Yes, ma'am. It's actually the students are being grouped into several number of students, and then there are certain mentors in each of the groups to monitor their discussion actually in a certain topic.
Yes. And then in the discussion of the topic po, Doc, are they given like freedom to choose in what way they can showcase what they have learned?
Yes, so they can
Ayan.
discuss maybe some of them they present a PowerPoint presentation,
Yes.
or sometimes if they have not prepared it, they will just explain the the questions or the tasks that were given to them. Actually.
But all their way of explaining or of sharing are what they call this, considered by the teacher. No, there is no like strict rule na dapat this is the only way.
It will depend actually, ma'am, because they have references. They're given references where to look for, and then if they deviate away from the answer, actually, ma'am, that's when we especially come in that maybe they got it wrong, and then guide them eventually where to but usually ma'am, they were able to get naman the they don't really deviate away because they are given the references where they can get it, so it's the matter of reading actually the sources that were provided to them.
Yes, thank you very much, Doc. And I'm
Sige,
sure that the students are also given freedom to express, their own way
Yes.
of expressing it. The
Yes.
material may be the same because there has to be a reliable source, especially for medicine, pag yun, di ba? Medical, and
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
relating
Oo.
to correct,
Yes.
dapat exact, no, to the number, yan sila. But the way they will express their learning, they will be more free, no? They
Yes.
can express it in varied ways.
Yes,
Excuse me.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Doc.
Okay, sige, ma'am. Thank
Excuse
you.
me naman. Sorry kayo sa mga atching-atching. Yeah, we will not, possibly, we will not, we'll forgo na lang siguro this so that we can move on, no? Marami pang mga ano. Now, here, this one. Based on the concepts presented, give me one na lang. Can you write in the chat box one reminder, no? Ayan, meron answer si Sir Tarongoy here, Sir Po. Giving a full student webinar on a chosen topic. This is correct, Sir Pox. You were addressing the answer question kanina, early. Yes, this time, based on the concepts presented, what were the concepts that we presented? I can actually go back to it just a minute, because that's already the last part. Let's just, ayan, these are the concepts na lang po that we have presented. I would like to ask you, what is one principle that you would like to bring with you in the classroom that you have learned from today? I want you to write it in the chat box. Like, what could be one reminder as you practice OBE in the classroom at the same time, what you call this on the OBE, and the principles of good practice in the online or in the virtual classroom. So we will try to, for Sir JM, letter B, expanded opportunity yung gusto niyo, sir. Okay. You can expound also, You can expound what it is that you want to actually adopt, or maybe what principle that we have discussed you would like to bring with you. Yes, I would like to read Sir Albin's answer. Sir Albin, okay lang if you can express this to the group po. Sir Albin, we want to hear from you. Sir Albin. Sir?
Good evening, Doc Kathleen, and to
Good
all the
evening.
participants of the 5th day of this onboarding faculty session or onboarding session for newly hired faculty. This is, I think, a personal reminder I have been adhering to, knowing that we are already applying outcomes-based education all throughout our system in the university. Consistent with the aspiration also of the education system of the country. So I think we need to ensure that subject matter outcomes, meaning the lesson outcomes that we communicate to the students, are consistent with the teaching learning activities that we deliver and assessment and evaluation strategies that we employ. I think this is one of the, I believe, Ma'am Katma, this is one of the features of the outcomes-based education as conjectured by Dr. William Spady, that these three elements should be aligned and be consistent with each other for us to achieve what we want our students to achieve. Since OBE contemplates on the idea not just on the acquisition or memorization of contents as explicitly stated in your presentation, ma'am, it includes the demonstration of knowledge, values, and skills of the students. So across all the domains of learning. And it's very important that at the very first session that we have with our students, we set high expectations. We communicate clear goals to them, because the more that they know what the purposes of these undertakings are, the more that they become more attached to the learning process. And make sure that the teaching learning activities that we employ are based on sound pedagogical approaches. And of course, the assessment techniques that we utilize should also be consistent with the outcomes. So I think yun yung kailangan nating ma-reinforce, no, in our practices. And addition, we always need to provide siguro prompt, as stated, prompt and timely constructive feedback to our students. Kasi
Yes.
that's the only way that we can communicate to them how well did they achieve the outcomes, and for them to maximize also, no, their learning experience, and to possibly allow us, the teachers, to reflect on how effective are we in the delivery of our instruction. Thank you so much, Doc Kat. Good evening.
Yay! Thank you very much, Sir Alvin. Sir Fox, walang nang sumulat o nag-clap na lang ng hand yung mga classmates nila. Parang si Sir Alvin na talaga yung Sir Alvin, siguro ikaw na talaga yung representative ng mga
Sister Alvin, you're like giving the summary now of the session.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
This
you.
is very good. Thank you
Thank you very
Sir
much, Sir
Alvin,
Alvin.
for that. Balik tayo. Actually, this is the end already. We review our course and take notes, Sir Fox. No? The answer of Sir Alvin was really the closure of the activity. Yeah.
Exactly.
Diba? Okay. So let's look at the course again. No? At the end, we were able to do this. Were we able to look into the OBE concepts and principles? Yeah, diba? All the 5 P's. One, ano yun? 1 paradigm, 2 premises,
3 purposes.
3 purposes.
2 purposes,
3
3
premises,
premise,
4
4 principles,
principles, and
and
5
5
practices.
practices.
All the piece of Dr. William Spady we were able to look into. And of course, the principles of good online teaching and learning. We have identified activities also, di ba? Done to adhere to the principles. Had it not been we have a very good the internet connection, I'm sure many would have answered or shared their and also they were to craft their personal reminders. I'm sure many would have wanted to write here, but due to the situation now, I think that was already considered. And I would like to believe that all these are already check marks, and we are able to achieve the goals that we have set for us. So this is again for us, no? Well, maybe as a new member of XU family, please share to us the principle if there are that stand out in the practice. But I think looking at the time also, Sir Fox, I would like to believe babaon na ni nila, Sir Fox. This is their assignment. I'm sure
Yes,
being new teachers will continue to grow in this. And for many who are new with us, but not new in the teaching profession, you will also help us enrich the experiences that we give to our students. Diba? So,
right.
yan. Okay. Let's try answering this. If we remembered our OTL, what framework guide the OTL? Can you remember? Wala na siguro sila mag-answer, no? Kay murag ano man. I would like us to remember this. Community of Inquiry. Remember, Taani?
COI.
The COI. What Ignatian principles serve as basis for our actions? Can remember, Taani? Si Ray man yan. But then in the OBE, in the online, we have expanded the C here to mean context. Remember, context, connection, and connection or the context of the pupils, the construct or the concepts, and then the connection that we give to the students. So this is the framework we have in our OTL. And then, of course, the personalized teaching and learning do you have in adhering to? I'm sure marami din po na ang mag-answer niyan po, Sir Fox, pero with the connection, power outage, that's experience currently still, ano lang muna tayo. Pass the, let's move on to
Doka, para practice kita sa we will require them to submit a 1-page of answer to that question.
Ayan! Yes!
Alaka.
Yeah, this one
we'll have so that we can communicate the high expectations.
Yes.
And then set the deadline. And
that
then you
is
have to provide
the
feedback.
Yes, very, very good. I think
That's
very timely
Joe.
talaga yung answer ni Sir Alvin dito, sir,
Mm.
di ba? What
Mm.
personal challenge do you have? And what was already explained or yeah, shared. So in this session, you did a lot of these things, di ba? And then there were times when you gave correct answers. There were times when you would have wanted to stand and just dance and ano. But at the end, would like to clap our hands for all of you really participated in this afternoon session that we have. Therefore,
Awesome.
my encouragement is may we never get tired of doing what is right. So laban lang, keep running. Let's just keep fighting and keep doing our best. So from the Office of the Vice President for Higher Education, this is Kathleen Mallorca Morales signing off. Ana Jud, and thank you very much
Do not
for
sign off yet.